Okay, we are now starting stage 3, exporting an HTML file. First thing you do is close out any of the open dialog boxes that we had open from the last chapter, and then we are starting on page 407, exporting an HTML file. Clients need to be able to distribute their information in as many ways as possible to teach the broadest audience. To meet that need, they need to utilize a variety of digital media in addition to print communication. In this stage of the project, you will export an HTML file that can be posted for internet distribution. InDesign's built-in tools make it relatively easy to export this format from the same layout that you used to create the static print layout and the interactive PDF file. Now, one of the things that's going to be different all has to do with images, and that's what it's talking about next, okay? And this is called anchoring graphics to text. The images in this layout simply float on the page, an appropriate approach for print design, where the position of the object is fixed wherever you place them. For HTML output, though, objects are exported based on their left to right, top to bottom order on the page. If you simply export an HTML file from the existing layout, the images will appear in odd places that are inappropriate at best and confusing at worst. To solve this problem, you need to define exactly where the images should go by anchoring them to the related text. So that's going to be our next step, is we have to anchor these things down so they don't appear where we don't want them. So the very first thing, make sure that you have the cacbrochure.ind open. Navigate to page 2 at the bottom down here. Mine I already put on page 2. Make sure frame edges are visible. What you do is you go up to View, you go down to Extras, you open up, and mine already has the show frames because what I'm seeing on mine is hide frame edges, and if that's what you're seeing, do not click it. It means that your show frame edges are already showing. Once you have done that, we move on to the next section. Make sure that you are on the selection tool, the black arrow. That's what we need to use. And click to select the image. I know the image is selected by all the little dots that are around the outside of the image, and this is exactly where I want to be. This is kind of a strange step that we're doing, but what you do is on the top right, kind of on the right hand side, you'll see a blue square. What you're going to do is you're going to take and left click, hold your mouse down on that blue square and go right in front of the word over and let go. And what you will see once you have done that is you will see a dotted line that goes from the bottom right corner of that image up to the front of over. That means that image is now placed and exactly where it should be. Now the next one we are going to do is the umbrella image. So let's click on the umbrella image. You're going to once again click on the blue square, hold down your left mouse and drag it down to in front of In Partnership under Annual Spring Arts Festival and let go. Whoops, that did not take. I will try it again. It's really difficult. There we go. Really difficult to do when it's that close to an edge. Okay, we also need to do the third image. We will click on that and we're going to put it underneath the Children's Exploration Workshop. Drag up in front of We in the first actual text paragraph. And then that way I have all three of those done. Now we also need to work on page 3. So let's scoot to page 3. Down at the bottom, we'll click the arrow to move over to page 3. And the first image that we are going to do is the sketch image. So we will click on the sketch image, and we are going to put it in front of the Community Arts Council under Enrichment Classes and Seminars. So I'm going to left click on the blue square, drag in front of the, and I'll see yes indeed it has attached. Then I'm going to click on the second one, the pottery image. And this one where we're going to drag it is right in front of photography. So I'm going to hold it down, put it right in front of photography, and it is now attached. At this point in time, I'm going to do Control S and save my work. Okay, not only do we have to define pictures as we have done, but we also have to define articles. And so that's our next step. So we are now on page 409, and let's talk about defining articles. You have three options when you export HTML files. One of them is exporting the file based on the existing page layout. And that option allows the software to make the assumption based on the top to bottom position of the objects of the page layout. Every object in the layout is included. The second option is to export the file based on content of the structure panel, which allows you to define the order of tagged content. And you use the structure panel in Project 7's repurpose content layout to do that. The third one is to export the file based on a user-defined set of articles. This option allows you to define the content that will be included in the exported file, as well as the order in which it will appear. And that is what we are going to work on. So the first thing that you need to do with this open is, let's first of all get to page 1. So at the bottom, let's go to page 1. The second thing we need to do is bring up the articles panel. So let's go to Window and click on Articles and bring up the articles panel. Right now, the articles panel shows no content, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so anyway, how we do this is at the bottom of the articles panel, you're going to see a big plus sign. You're going to see a plus sign inside of a square, and it's the plus sign inside of the square is what we are going to be working on. So what we do first is select with the selection tool the text frame at the bottom right hand corner here. So make sure that you can see all the squares around it, and then I'm going to click New Article, and I'm going to call it, in the dialog box that opens up, I'm going to call it Intro. And include with exporting option is checked, and then click OK. You will notice now in the articles box we now have an intro. Now let's go up, and the second thing we're going to do is grab the direct selection tool. That's the white tool, and we are going to click in the middle of the I think we'll go back to the regular one, and we're going to grab the content grabber in the middle of the picture inside of the frame at the top of page 1. And then we're going to create new article again, and this time we're going to call it Intro Picture. And include, of course, and click OK. And now what we want to do, because the picture is on the top and the article is on the bottom, is we're going to drag this above the intro item, like so, to where it's on the top of the dialog box. So drag it up just like you do on the layers panel in the articles panel. What you want is the intro picture above the intro article. And then it says collapse the two, and you'll notice that there's little arrows, so collapse the two to small. And now we're going to navigate to page 2, and we are going to select the text frame on the page. So we'll select the text frame, and you'll see all those funny dots again, and we're going to click New Article, and this time we're going to call it Body Copy, and click OK. And then it says collapse the body copy and navigate to page 4. And then it says to select the text frame on the page. So I am selecting the text frame on the page, and then create a new article. And in the article dialog box, name it Call to Action. And click OK. And then the next step is to select the image again, okay, and do it by the content grabber. And then we are going to do article again. And I guess we'll just call it image. No, let's call it call image. And select OK. And then what we want to do is drag that above the call to action. And then once we have done that, what we are going to do is, oh, interesting. Okay, what they did with the image one, the leaves image, is they actually drug it right above the join our growing family under call to action. So just drag your leaves above join our growing family, and that's exactly where they want it in the dialog box. And then do a Control S to save your work.